Here we go with our first Rossett History GCSE Extra, and we're looking here at Norman changes to law and order, which is a double whammy because it's something that appears on your crime and punishment paper and also something you can put in an Anglo-Saxon and Norman answer. And here you can see the bits of the specification that link to that. First, the one from the Norman specification, and second, how it fits into crime and punishment. Let's delve in. William was a bit of a control freak, so he wanted to make sure he had control of everything. That means bringing power into the centre of the country, or you can think of it as centralization. He wanted to have complete power over the laws and who would enforce them, so he brought things centrally to him. Because the Anglo-Saxons had a nasty habit of wanting to rebel all the time because they didn't want Normans to be in control of their country, William tried to use even harsher punishments to make sure they were deterred from misbehaving. Now, the greatest example of this is he didn't do it personally, but he was responsible for ordering the harrying of the North, where it's possible that 100,000 people might have been killed. Certainly thousands were, and it didn't matter whether they were guilty or innocent. William had had enough of the North rebelling against him. Perhaps an overlooked aspect is that, if you know anything about William, he loved castles, and he made sure that he had local lords in different areas, especially in more lawless areas and troublesome areas, like the Marcher earldoms, and they all had castles. The castles themselves acted as a deterrent. It must have felt to the Anglo-Saxons like they were constantly being watched. It was quite an imposing structure to have watching over them or towering over them. The murderer's fine is one of the more famous ones, linked to change number 2. It was a crippling, massive fine that would have to be paid by everybody in the 100 where the body of a Norman was found. Now, the 100 is not a number in this case, it's an area of land. So the idea was to deter people from killing Normans, or if a Norman has been killed, for the people in the area to hand over the culprit, because the fine didn't have to be paid if the culprit was caught and executed. So the murderer's fine. And why is it a little bit of continuity too? Well, the Anglo-Saxons did have the weregild, or Wehrgild, where people had to pay fines if somebody was killed. It was to try to stop blood feuds. They even paid fines if they'd injured somebody, like a thumb being lost in a fight would cost the person who removed the thumb more than a finger, because thumbs were seen as more important and crucial for working. So it was a bit of an element of continuity, but this was way harsher because it punished everybody in the local area. And we've saved the biggest for last, in my opinion anyway, the forest laws. Poor people used to depend on the common land, and William removed some areas of common land basically to be a playground for the rich. So the poor couldn't go there to hunt some rabbits just to give themselves a bit to get by, or any other animal for that matter. They couldn't go there to collect firewood, they just couldn't go in there. No poor people allowed, or anybody else for that matter, unless it had the king's express permission, which of course is only going to go to other noblemen. So this brings about a new crime, because this was then private land. The new crime, of course, was poaching. I'll give you an example of the impact of the forest laws. In the New Forest, in a place called Hampshire, a county a long way away from here, down near the south coast, roughly 40 villages were just removed to make way because William wanted to hunt in the New Forest, as it is still called today, first named by William. So this whole common land was really important to people, so it actually brought around what we would see in our course as our first social crime, because lots of poor people ignored it and just went there anyway, probably out of desperation in some cases. William tried in his Norman William style to deter people from doing this. So if you were caught in the forest where you weren't supposed to be, you could be hanged for it, you could be executed. You could be blinded, they could pop your eyes out. Or they could be castrated for doing it. that was deliberately harsh to deter other people from doing it.